Hey everyone, welcome back to Artflow. I'm Ross and today we're diving deep into a topic that'll definitely transform your logo design process: logo grids. You know those logos that just seem perfectly balanced and on point? Well, there's a hidden structure behind them, and today we're going to discuss how it works. But before we jump in, here's what we'll cover today. Topic number one is the purpose of grids. Why grids can be your secret weapon. Later on, we'll discuss types of grids, from classic square grids to the mystical golden ratio, and when and how to use grids, tips and tricks to decide when to stick to the grid or break free. Also, we'll discuss real-world examples and practice tips, stories and examples from real design world, common pitfalls and mistakes and how to avoid them. And also, we'll cover interactive challenge, a little exercise to put what you learned into practice. That way, by the end of this video, you'll know not only why grid can be your best friend in design, but also why they are not necessary. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start with the basics. So what exactly is a logo grid? Think of it like a scaffolding or a blueprint behind a design. It's a series of lines and shapes that help structure a logo, ensuring that every element is balanced, even when your logo is blown up on a billboard or shrunk to fit on a mobile screen. Imagine building a house without a blueprint. Chances are you'd run into problems later on, and the grid is that blueprint for your logo design, helping you avoid those hiccups. Consider iconic logos like Apple, Twitter, or Adidas. They're not just randomly arranged, there's careful design math behind their harmony. And grids create consistency and balance, guiding your creative decisions to ensure everything has its rightful place. And here's the kicker: they help maintain clarity no matter the size or context in which the logo is used. Now that we know why grids are useful, let's explore the different types that you can use. At this moment there are four main types. The first one is square-based grids. Remember those graph papers from school? Square grids work the same way, providing a solid geometric foundation. If you're designing a logo for a startup or something with a modern feel, these grids can keep everything neat and precise. Second type is circular grids. These are perfect for logos with lots of curves and organic shapes. Picture a logo for a yoga studio or a spa. The gentle curves supported by a circle grid can really enhance that calming but fluid vibe. Third type is custom or invisible grids. Some designers create their own set of guidelines that might not even be visible in the final product. These invisible grids help maintain consistent spacing and proportions without forcing every element into a rigid structure. It's like having a secret recipe that you adjust as you go. And the last one is the golden ratio. The golden ratio, a number that pops up in nature, art, and architecture. With a ratio of roughly 1 divided by 1.618, it can help your logo feel naturally harmonious. Brands like Pepsi and Twitter have flirted with this concept to achieve that subtle balance, but remember, it's only one tool in your design toolbox. So guys, each grid type brings its own flavor to design. The key is to experiment, see which one complements your project best without overcomplicating things. Alright, let's get practical. When should you actually use a grid? Basically, we have only two options over here: starting with a grid or applying a grid later. Let's discuss both options. Jumping straight in with a grid gives you a solid framework from the start. This is great when you need precise proportions. Imagine designing a logo for a corporate brand, where every pixel counts. But sometimes starting on a grid can feel a bit limiting if you're bursting with creative ideas. On the other hand, we can apply a grid later. You always can let your creative juices flow and sketch freely. Then, once you have a concept you love, overlay grid to refine the details. Think of it like roughing out a sculpture and then chiseling away the imperfections to reveal the final form. As an example, here's a real-life scenario. Say you're designing a logo for a local coffee shop. You might start with a freehand sketch to capture that warm, inviting vibe, And once the design feels right, you overlay a grid to ensure that every curve, cup, and steam swirl is perfectly balanced. The takeaway? Use grids as a guide, not a rulebook. Let them help structure your work, but always trust your gut for the final touches. Now let's dive into some real-world examples and practical tips so that you can start using right away. Example number 1. Picture a new tech startup aiming for a minimalistic aesthetic. The square-based grid can help align every element, from the icon to typography, ensuring the crisp and professional look. Example number 2 is boutique brand. For a boutique fashion brand, you might want to have more organic feel. In this case, a circle or a custom grid might be better support the flow and personality of the design. Imagine a chic boutique logo where the curves suggest elegance and fluidity without being too rigid. And remember, don't be afraid to mix things up. Sometimes a grid can make your design feel too boxy or predictable. Try breaking free from the grid on one element to add a touch of surprise. Remember, every design is unique, and the grid is there to help, not to confine you. A well-structured grid ensures your logo works at any size, from giant billboards to tiny fav icons. It's a great way to ensure your design remains impactful no matter where it appears. Even the best tools can lead to mistakes if not used properly. Here are some common pitfalls when using grids and how to avoid them. First mistake: forcing every element into the grid. Don't try to squeeze every part of your design into a rigid structure. This can lead to a mechanical, lifeless logo, and sometimes the most appealing designs come from a slight deviation from the grid. Second mistake: overcomplicating your grid. More isn't always better. A simple grid can often be more effective than an overly complex one. Keep it clean so that it enhances your design rather than distracting from it. And the third one is ignoring the by-eye test. Even if your grid says everything is balanced, step back and look at your work. Our eyes can pick up on a small inconsistencies that number might miss. Trust your instincts. If it doesn't feel right, well, it probably isn't right, and you need to adjust it. And the last one, not considering different applications. Your logo must be used in various formats and sizes. Make sure your grid allows for flexibility, so that your design remains clear and balanced in every scenario. These pitfalls are common even among seasoned designers. The key is to grid as a starting point, then let your creativity and intuition refine the final product. Now let's get a bit personal. I remember when I first started using grids in my design, I was so worried about following the rules too strictly, and there was a project where I was designing a logo for a small startup, and I ended up with something that was technically perfect, but it felt too cold. I had to go back, break out of the grid for a little, and add some organic elements to bring warmth and personality back into the design. This is something I see a lot in the industry. Even top designers tweak their work after the grid is done. It's all about finding that sweet spot between technical precision and creative expression. Here's another insider tip. Sometimes discussing your grid approach with a colleague or mentor can open up new perspectives. They might see something you've missed or suggest a small adjustment that make a huge difference. Collaboration is key. And before we wrap up, I've got an interactive challenge for you guys. Grab your sketchpad or open up your design software and try this. Create a simple logo concept using your favorite grid type. Then try tweaking one element outside of the grid and compare the two versions and see which one feels more balanced and engaging. You can always share your results in social media with Artflow tag, because we'd love to see your creativity in action. To wrap up, remember that grid are a powerful tool, but that's not the whole story. They give you a solid foundation, but the final magic happens when you trust your instincts and let your creativity shine. If you found this deep dive helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to Artflow, and let me know your thoughts about this video in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the world of logo grids. Until next time, keep creating, stay inspired, and remember, sometimes the best design happens when you break a few rules.